Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. If you can hear me, do type in 1 in chat so I know that you guys are here. I see a few familiar names. Hello, Lily. I see Harold, Vincent, all here in chat. Hello, hello. Welcome, Jen, to the webinar. Okay, great. Seems that everyone is able to hear me. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Eugene Lee, and I'll be your moderator for this afternoon. Today, we will be addressing the topic of stress management for caregivers, featuring our guest speaker, Mr. Alan Tan. Mr. Alan has a master's in counseling and is a certified therapist in the areas of choice theory and reality therapy, and has been in counseling since 2019. He is also a certified trainer with the HRDF. Before we get into today's webinar, I'd like to invite the host, Ms. Olivia Kwa from iElder.Asia, to tell us a little bit more about the company.
Hi, thank you for spending your valuable time to attend our iElder Zoom webinar on the Senior Care Series, Stress Management for Caregivers today. So my name is Olivia from iElder.Asia. So a brief introduction about the company, Asian Integrated Medical Syndrome Berhad. The founder, Dr. Kong, he has both medical profession, Western medicine and Chinese medicines. And so he wants to integrate both medicine, the best from the East and the West, to give patient a holistic treatment. A part of GP clinics and TCM clinics, we also run a social enterprise senior care center at Ampang, and also we distribute medical equipment to pharmacies, nursing home, clinics, and hospitals. So iElder.Asia is an e-commerce platform focusing on the elderly care products. So our mission is to help the senior citizens to achieve the quality of retirement life by introducing the leading innovative medical home care products and gadgets. So that's a brief introduction of the company.
Thank you very much, Olivia. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Alan Tan, guest speaker for today, for his segment.
Thank you, Eugene. Yes, welcome everyone, and thanks for coming. My name is Alan, and let me share screen. Yeah, right. Okay, let me share the screen. Yeah. Okay, right. So today we will be having a 1 hour session, of which I'll break into 4 segments where we have 15 minutes per segment. And the first section will be an interactive section, then followed by who and what is a caregiver. And subsequently at 2:30, we shall be having challenges as a caregiver. And at 2:45, we shall be discussing on the coping strategies for caregivers. Now, then in between those sessions, we will have a 5 minutes Q&A. And therefore, please allow this session to be an interactive one, right? So for Zoom rules, because if this is an interactive session, let's make some noise, yeah, when time comes during the interactive session. However, when you want to speak or say anything, please unmute yourself. And then after that, please mute yourself again. Otherwise, we'll have a lot of interruptions, such as echoing sounds as well, yeah. And whatever's going to be shared here is going to be private and confidential. Yeah, so sometimes, you know, some of the participants may share something very personal, and because it's shared very personal, then let's not bring it outside this Zoom meeting. Okay, right? Thank you. So if we agree to that, then let's move on to the next segment. This is the interactive session where I would like to invite you to download the stress scan that's available on both the iPhone as well as Android phone. So what you can do is basically, I would like you to search for the word STRESS-SCAN. So try and download this program. And the icon to this program is the one you see in the middle, yeah. Are you okay to download? If you're okay, please mark 1. Type in 1, yes. Okay, have you downloaded it? Let me check this here. Let me see if you are ready, then we can start the recordings here. So what you do now is basically, if you have completed your recordings, you answer a few questions about your date of birth, your age, and your health status. And you get to this icon, and it will show you measurement, yeah, measure. So you click on it and put your fingers in the camera, which is the reverse camera on the phone. You hold on to it. Then you press on start measuring. So you see the light, camera light is on. It's okay, leave it. Yeah. So that light we use to check on the pulse. Yeah. And you can see the meter reading, coming up. Yeah. Maybe for this session, perhaps everyone can unmute so that you can also speak and rather than being so quiet. Yeah. You can try to unmute and then we can.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's measuring.
Okay, that's good. Yes.
I've gotten my result.
You got your results? That's
It started out really high, but then it's went down over time.
yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. It's still reading actually. It takes about 2.5 minutes to read through. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I
So
have
we
mine also. 15% completed. Need time, right?
Yeah, it takes time. Yes, about 2.5 minutes. Yes. So what this stress scan does is that it reads on your pulse, yeah, through the lights over your index finger, and it's used in the university where they do research on stress, yeah, scan, and I suspect, yeah, that it reads also basically based on our heart rate. So if your heart pumps beats faster, so most often than not, you may elevate your results for your stress scan.
All right. I've received my results. It says very high stress index.
Oh,
All right, I guess possibly because your heart could be beating quite fast. This is what I've been getting from the.
well, if your stress index is high, then this is the webinar for you. I'm glad you came today.
Thank you.
Okay, and have you got all results? Most of the results? Hi, Annie. Hi, Vincent. Hi, Yiping. Hi, Shalini.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So basically, all of us face stress. Yeah. So all of us face some kind of stress somehow along the way. Yeah. We do have stress because of our work, because of home. Yeah. So it is every occupation basically gives stress as well. Yeah. So we call it occupation hazard sometimes. So as a psychologist or counselor, our stress are also equally high sometimes when we get clients who tell us that they'll be on the ledge. Yeah. So okay, so how do you feel? What is your result? Do you feel stressed? The result says you're very cool and calm.
Result says I'm on the fence.
That's okay. All right. Yes. How about Harold? Norwati? Okay, so but whatever the result is, yeah, basically it tells us that how we are feeling today, and what is your stress level, and it keeps us in check. You can try this again from your own home in your own comfort. It reminds me every day to test, but I don't test it every day because I don't see the necessity for it. Yeah. So whatever the test is, do not be alarmed. Understand that all of us go through stress, all right? So do you have any questions? Do you have your results? So generally, this stress test can be used as a game as well. Yeah, it can be used in training sessions as well. Yeah. Okay, very quiet group I have this today. Yeah. Let's keep
Everyone
this.
just looking at their stress levels, wondering what does this mean?
Yeah. Have you managed to get it downloaded?
Yeah.
We have a question from Han Ho that asks how to test.
Okay. Have you downloaded the program? If you have, then what you could do is you switch on. Yeah, this icon will appear, right? So what you do is that because it's a first-time user, you'll be asked to fill up your date of birth to know your age. Yes, and then you will see a sign here at the bottom of your phone called measurement. Yeah. So before you press on that measurement button, you put your index finger behind your camera to cover up the light. Yeah. So because they'll use the light to sense your pulse from your index finger. Then you press start measurement. Yeah. Then give yourself 2.5 minutes. This is an interactive session, so you're allowed to make noise, you're allowed to talk, you're allowed to give feedbacks. Yes. After this, you will only allowed to talk during the Q&A sessions. Yes. So please keep this lively. Yes. How is it like? If I can ask, what stresses you? What would you tell me? Some people tell me the work stress them. Some will tell me that the children stresses them up. Some tell me the aged parents stress them up. Yeah. But for people who are in a caregiving, yeah, what do you think will stress them? Maybe if you don't want to unmute yourself, you may type it out. Mine keeps resetting at 50%. Okay, what happens is this: the minute it resets, right, it means that you must have moved your finger. So try not to move your finger, keep it straight. What the guideline tells us is that put our hands with our index finger and the phone lying flat on the table. But I'm so used to it that I can do it just like this. Yeah, I can do it just like this. Because
what
I'm
does
so
the synesthetic stress index mean?
which one is that?
Before we take the test, right, there's two sliders. The first one says synesthetic stress index, and the other one says hours of sleep.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't aware of it. Yeah, because I always start measuring the stats. Yeah, the stress level. I've not seen that. Yeah. Okay, Lisa, you have a very good result. Yes, I'm A2. Yes, moderate. Moderate, yeah. Okay, any others?
My one is very high.
Today, yeah, sometimes because of our heartbeat, yeah, because I guess because this is not a very high-tech phone that I'm using. Yeah, for instance, I'm not using a very high-tech phone. Yes, so when they use this technology in the universities for research purposes, they are actually better, more reliable equipment. So sometimes our phone does have an effect on it. Sometimes. So what I felt is that after running this a few sessions, I realized that most of it not, I suspect, yeah, they actually based on our heart rate. So they assume that when our heart rate beats faster, then our stress, we would be much more stressful, yeah, for us, yeah. So this is just an indicative, yeah. Don't make it a gospel truth that you're highly stressed, but just tell us that perhaps you are stressed. And perhaps on the same day itself, perhaps because we are all on this webinar, Zoom meeting, you know, that causes us to be stressed out. Okay, so
Hi, Alan.
Sorry?
Hi, Ellen. Shalini here. Just want to ask you, when would be a good time to test, actually?
Normally in the morning, actually, yeah. But then, of course, this app allows us to check on our stress level any time of day, yes. Just a BP, blood pressure instrument, yeah, they will prefer to be in the morning. Yeah. Okay, so if there's nothing, then we'll move on, okay, to the Q&A sessions. Yeah. Do you have any Q&A questions for me for this session?
Yeah, I think I do have something to ask.
Yeah.
Hi. So regarding the stress testing, right? I think it's only measuring that your heartbeat, is it?
I believe for this one, yes.
Or
yeah.
for this one, because
Yes.
like I would take it with a grain of salt, to be honest, because since I used to be an athlete,
Yeah.
my heart rate is quite low.
Yeah.
I would say around the 50 to the 60 area. Like normally,
Yes.
my heartbeat is around 50 to 60.
Yes.
But doing work, it still stresses me out. So if my heart rate is consistently around 50 to 60, they always say that, oh, I'm very low in stress, I'm very low in stress. But I'm not sure if that's exactly the truth, because since that's the only factor they're measuring. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, that's just the comment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, true, is correct. Yes. And then the types of phone that we use also will also interfere with the results. We give us different results as well. And because our phone cameras are not that sensitive sometimes, yeah. So this will only be a gauge. Yes. Yes.
Alan, this app, right, does it measure our current stress levels, or does it measure sort of the accumulated stress that we have over the course of our daily life?
I see. Okay. It because it uses the light to gauge from collect data from our pulse, so it is current. Yeah, this very minute. Yes. As the 2.5 minutes as you go through to collect to while you are measuring your stress level, and over the 2.5 minutes, that's a time frame that they use to actually gather the data. Yeah. So the stress level is current, will not be accumulated. Yeah.
I have something to ask as well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned just now that this app can be used in trainings. Can you elaborate more on that? How do you use that in trainings? How do you
As an opener, you know, to de-stress, to allow the participants to be interactive, yeah, so that they will not just be so clump up to the chair and then become so stiff and tense. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a good
Icebreaker.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yes, that's right. Are you in training?
I guess so. Not training in caregiving, but training caregivers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, then you have a lot of questions for me on stress. Yeah. Okay. So if you have no questions, then maybe we'll move on to the next section. Right? So who and what is a caregiver, basically? Yeah. So caregivers are actually a person or a family member or even a paid person, yeah, who is actually giving care to people who are in need, yeah. So a paid person will most likely be a nurse, yeah, or maybe a not so qualified person, can be anybody other than nurses, can also be a caregiver, yeah. This caregiving is givers are actually giving services, yeah, to assist, yeah, the patient or the clients, yeah, in many areas, whether are they bedridden, to assist them to walk, or to actually help them actually to feed them with medication, to cook for them, to clean for them, yeah, or even long-term care, yeah, for disabled people who are actually on a wheelchairs, yeah. And it can also be a parent, yeah, or family member who actually supports the child, the child that is actually disabled, or with actually Down syndrome. Okay. It can also be a caregiving that's given to a loved ones. Okay. So anybody could be a caregiver, whether it's qualified or not qualified. So how did you come up as a caregiver in your life? Yes, perhaps it's by choice, your passion. You may have a passion to be a caregiver, to be a nurse, to help the elderly, to help out in the palliative care unit, or maybe help out in the geriatric ward. Yes, so it could also be a perceived obligation that you felt that perhaps it is someone that to look after you when you were young, your godparents, or someone who had taken care of you when you were young. So you felt that perhaps I need to look after my parents. So this could also be a perceived obligation that you may have. Or it could be also your loved ones, your spouse that you may need to care for. Right. And it could also be sorry, let me move back. It could also be, let's say, your child. Your child, yes, who needs additional care. For instance, cerebral palsy, ADHD. So you need someone to look after them. So, and then it's who is best to look after other than anyone else but yourself. So it could also be a relationship, your relationship to any individual that you felt that perhaps you owe the person an obligation. Sometimes you felt that this relationship to this person is so important to you, a close friend of yours, that you felt that you need to help because the person is living alone and has no other relatives or friends to actually support. Yes, and also your ability to deal with situations. Sometimes your friends or your colleagues or even your lecturers will tell you that, hey, you are suitable for this kind of job because you're caring, you're loving, and you're very conscientious and you're very meticulous, in what you do. So perhaps your ability, not what you want to do, not your ideal choice, not your passion, but perhaps you are told that you have skills towards this. So what is stress based? Stress is basically a feeling. It's a feeling that we have in ourselves, and it's caused by the cortisol, the buildup of the hormones called cortisol. So cortisol is basically released in our bloodstream, and that's when we feel that we are stressed. So when cortisol is heightened up, we will then have a sense of fight or flight. It's either, for instance, when you are faced with actually, let's say, somebody holds you up at knife point, and you feel that, hey, should I run or should I fight? So it is your brain, these hormones that's in your body called cortisol that's being released that gives you the energy whether you want to run as fast as you can or you want to fight as hard as you can. So sometimes after whatever actions you take, you realize that, hey, I could run faster than anyone else, or I could run faster than my own personal records or you can even box a person or hit a person as hard as you can, that you felt that this is the hardest box I've ever given, and you may have experienced this or heard this before. So this is actually the cause of cortisol. And stress basically affects everyone, whether you're a caregiver, you're actually a counselor, or you're in the medical field itself. It affects everyone, right? So stress also affects all lives, everybody's lives, whether you're a B40, M40, or T20. So in this current economic situation, stress affects everyone, whether you're B or M. Yes. And long-term stress can actually bring to mental health issues. So when too much stress, then you become depressive, and that's when you need help from actually either a counselor or clinical psychologist. So stress is basically something that is actually something that we need to manage. Okay. So let me see. Stress is basically universal in a sense. And COVID has actually brought a lot of stress apart from stresses that we have. Yes. Let me see. Any questions? Any questions?
Sorry, Alan, how do I know when I'm stressed beyond my usual?
Basically, it's the feeling of anxiousness. Your heartbeat could possibly beat a little faster, yeah, and you feel a bit restless, and you may not be in the mood to do what you used to do, or yeah, that you like to do. For instance, if you like gardening, you may not feel like you want gardening. You feel very anxious, and you just feel that something is not right somewhere, yeah, and you may not feel like you may not want to feel to be by yourself, yeah. You may not want to eat, you may just want to seclude yourself, isolate yourself. Yeah, yes, right. And also sometimes you may exhibit a little impatience, yeah, towards somebody or anybody, that may agitate you. Yes, yeah. So then you may also have an outburst of anger. Yeah. Yes. So sometimes that people will also want to know when do they want to seek help. Yeah, yes. This is a question that I get most of the time, is that when that people ask, how do I know when I need to seek help? Yeah, that's basically when you have troubling issues that's been repeatedly in your mind, or questions that you want to ask, or something that you cannot resolve. Yeah, and it gives you an emotional pain. If you feel there's an emotional pain and something that is not closed, and there's no closure to anything, like for instance, basically that if let's say your boyfriend has left you, your girlfriend has left you, then you feel that you need a closure. Yeah, so that's when you need to seek help. Yes, or you have not forgiven anybody. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Very quite cool. Yeah. Yes, palpitations as well. Yes. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
So for each of these different kinds of stress responses, right, like restlessness, outbursts of anger, the ones that you mentioned and everyone mentioned,
Yeah.
are there different ways to mitigate them, or is it all the same methods?
Generally, stress management is generally quite almost the same. Like basically, is calming down, mindfulness. You can actually, for some people, it's just taking a drink, to take a break away from the actual tension for a minute. Yeah. So some people will go for a walk. Yes. So it all depends on what best suits us. For me, sometimes I eat chocolates. Yeah. Yes. Or I go out for movies, or I take a drive out. I walk away. Yes, and I come back and relook at the issue that we had. Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, it's kind of different from each person. So I'm wondering, is there like a general way, like something that everybody can generally get calm, be less stressed?
Okay, one way is basically taking a deep breath to allow more oxygen to come into your lungs. Yeah, and then hopefully that will also help to basically produces dopamine, serotonin. Yeah, which will be covered later on. So all of us have different ways of managing stress. Some of us would prefer to basically do some exercise, yeah, so that you should allow your body hormones to release some of the dopamines and serotonin, yeah. But some of us would prefer to just sit down and watch TV to de-stress, yes. But more importantly is the very first thing that you could do is take deep breath, basically, yeah. So there's one step of de-stressing, yes. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Okay, sure. Then we'll go on to the challenges as a caregiver. Yeah. So basically, what are the challenges as a caregiver? Yeah. Sometimes as caregivers, they'll always question themselves: is the quality of care that's been extended good enough for what I receive a payment? Or if I don't receive a payment, whether is it good enough for my parents or for my relative or for my son, for my loved ones? Yeah. So sometimes they don't know whether it's a quality good enough, because the person could be lying down and may not be able to express or share what is the person feeling. Yeah. So a lot of caregivers have got this question that they have not done enough. Yeah, they've not done enough because they do not know. Yeah, whether is it good enough service that they're provided? Is a patient feeling comfortable? And sometimes it is just not about what is not being done enough, but also it's about the guilt that the caregiver always thinks that I could have done better. For instance, if the patient actually falls down from bed, yeah, then the caregiver would feel very guilty, or even perhaps a bed sore. Yeah, the patient may be suffering from may have bed sores, and then the client, the caregiver may think that, hey, you know, if only I had applied medication earlier, or if only I had turned the patient around much earlier. So basically, sometimes as caregivers, we need to be mindful that that we should not be guilty. Yeah, you shouldn't be guilty of what of the services that the caregiver offers, because you have given your very best. So, but sometimes, most of the time, most caregivers feel guilty. Now, the high expectations may come from the caregiver, him or herself, or perhaps may come from the families of the patient. Yeah. So most often than not, yeah, it also affects the stress level of the caregiver, because caregiver says that, you know, I do not know whether is this up to expectations. Yeah. And as you know, caregiver sometimes, actually most of the time, I suppose, I have got a multiple skills requirement. They need to cook, they need to clean, they need to attend to the caregiver, they need to wash and so forth. So that doesn't give the caregiver time, yeah, to basically rest. Yeah, it's just constantly working, because by the time the caregivers have time to actually work on cleaning and making it clean, tidy the place up, you know, that's when the patient is asleep. But what if the patient wakes up? Then the caregiver has to break whatever the caregiver is doing, yeah, and attend to the patient. And some patients could also be very, very demanding. Yeah, sometimes not because they're demanding per se, but because they're in pain. So they may be saying that, please get me this, please get me that, and that's perceived demanding. Yeah, demands may be perceived as a demands, and may be perceived as also demanding expectations of the caregiver. Yeah. So sometimes there also be family or relationship conflicts. Yeah, some caregivers, family caregivers, for instance, yeah, may be only a role given to maybe the sister or the brother, and this role is not undertaken by anyone else in the family. Yeah, because everyone else seems that, okay, I'm going to work. You know, I've got a more important career than you. I'm earning more than you, so you stay at home and you take care of our parents or even our family members. So then conflicts may begin to happen. Yeah, yes. And then sometimes family members will say that, hey, you know, you didn't look after enough. That's why there's bed sores. You know, that's why mom has fallen, or that has fallen. Yeah. So this also causes a lot of conflicts and also a lot of stress for caregivers. Yeah. Lack of social support. See, because the caregiver is always entrenched to the home, to the patients, or yeah, the caregiver normally sometimes don't even communicate out. Yeah, so, or to seek help, or to seek friends. Yeah, to get the social support from either family members or from their friends. So this is social support is very important in a sense whereby, yeah, if you do not lend a helping hand and support, yeah, so the caregiver is actually all alone. Yeah, and most often than not, also that's what we call sleep deprivation. The caregiver do not get enough sleep because they have to look after the patient 24 hours. Even if it's not a 24-hour patient, let's say it's a paid caregiver whereby you only work 12 hours. Yeah, sleep deprivation for most of the caregivers is actually a challenge, because when they get back home, they may not be able to sleep because of change in routine, or constant concern for the patient itself. Yeah. Major life changes will be basically maybe the caregiver's own personal life changes. For instance, whether it's getting married, some death in the family, or some personal concerns, yeah, that can affect the caregiver itself. Yeah. And as you know, financial concerns is always there. There are more expenses. The expenses that is being to care for patient is actually much higher, because you buy medication, then special needs for food, special clothing, special diapers, and special plastic sheets for cleaning. Yes. So if you look at the highlighted ones in yellow, these are the three main core ones where challenges and stress that causes the stress of caregivers. Yeah. No, emotional fatigue is also one area. Yeah, and physical fatigue is one thing, but it's the emotional fatigue that's draining. Physical fatigue can actually, heal itself by the time you rest, but emotional fatigue will not be able to heal over time. In fact, it builds over time, and it will cause more stress for the person. Yeah, and once emotional stress takes place and is built over a period of time, cortisol level is actually heightened. Then after prolonged heighten of cortisol level as well as the emotional stress, then the person may go into depression, yeah, and will begin to isolate himself, yeah. Caregivers are also overloaded with responsibilities, so there's a lot of responsibilities to be done, yeah, not only to the patients but also for themselves, yes, and sometimes caregiver feel very lost, yeah, because especially if this is loved ones, yeah, they may find that the patient has actually from very loving and caring person, who is very agreeable, have a lot of agreeableness, suddenly become very demanding, very temperamental, full of anger, maybe using abusive words. Some patients use abusive words, not because they are abusive themselves, yeah, but basically because of the pain that they're going through, yeah, that they are, lying down or seated in a wheelchair that they cannot move. So these are all the frustrations that comes up with. So the caregiver may feel a very sense of loss, and then we'll be also wondering, hey, what to do, especially when the patient has changed from a loving person. So, and all this build up towards resentment towards the patient. Some caregivers, after a while, will resent the patient very badly. Will have a lot of dislike and unhappiness and may not perform the duties effectively anymore because the resentment is there. Yeah. So somehow or rather, why stress is good? Yeah, I think stress is basically good because it keeps the if we kept in check and in moderation. Yeah, it keeps the caregiver very much focused on what the caregiver needs to do. Yeah, for instance, if you have seen, there was also a show that shows that nurses in the hospital, yeah, where doctors will always ask the nurse, hey, please help me, in the end the nurse will tend to forget, or because the nurse have to actually leave whatever the nurse is doing now and support the doctor. So what happened is that in this particular hospital they actually put a place card, a small place card, a tag, where the nurses will write that I am now attending to something. Yeah, so the doctor will know that nurse is not to be disturbed. And because of that, it also minimizes mistakes in the dispensation of medication. Yes, right. So moderate stress is good because it keeps the person focused, yeah, and also stay motivated, yeah. So as well as accomplishment of tasks more effectively, yeah. And it can also boost memory and avoid dangers, and it also improves the immune system. So caregiving is actually very challenging, yeah, where 40 to 70% of caregivers reported high stress level, yeah. And in fact, stress level is actually very prevalent, yeah, in caregivers, yes. So because sometimes with too much stress, so what happens to these caregivers? Yeah. So when the caregiver has got too much stress, what happens is that they may turn to drugs, yeah, to actually release the tension. Yes. So drug abuse is also then quite prevalent. We'll use perhaps meth to basically keep the caregivers awake, and also sometimes to actually caregivers take it to basically to actually run away from reality. Yeah. So stress, sometimes drug addiction or drug abuse could actually be attributed to stress. Yeah, as well as sometimes you see in some university students, yeah, they have to mark their books as some then medical students as well. They have very high risk of using drugs because they need to be awake to actually keep themselves performing, to read and finish all the readings and journals and articles so that they can actually attend the exams. Yeah. So stress for caregivers, we actually lead caregivers to take up drugs, abuse, and also other health issues that may come because some of times they do not look after their own health. And so they may not drink enough water, like some professions, like surgeons, for instance, they're very high risk of having kidney issues because they have to be on the operating theater, and once in the operating theater, they do not actually have an opportunity to have drinks. So likewise for caregivers, sometimes they overwork and they forget about their own health issues, that they need to drink water, they need to take their own personal medication, perhaps BP, blood pressure medications that they have to take, which they do not actually consume. They may have forgotten that basically. And anxiety, anxiety is also another area where once a person is stressed out, caregiver may experience high anxiety. That will lead to depression and also possible burnout of the career. So sometimes you find that the person who is very good in, very passionate in whatever they do, and suddenly they decide to change occupation because of burnout. And burnout and depression actually affects caregivers very often. And when depression sets in, then the person may require, to speak to psychologists. So I'll take a bit of time. So these are the warning signs of stress. So there'll be, sometimes there's physically, they may feel that they have headache, changes in sleep patterns, sweaty palms, the anxious fluctuations, sweaty palms, and feeling tired all the time. So it could be physical. It could also be behavioral, whereby they start to consume alcohol, avoid decisions. You can also low in productivity, maybe forgetful, overreacting, and trouble in concentration. And relationship-wise, it may affect the marriage or even with children, or contact with friends. And some could be also, the worst part is emotional, where it comes into where the worry, anger, anxiety, and these are where it's when the person needs to seek help from mental professionals. Okay, so I've just taken a bit of time. So any Q&A for this?
Thanks, Alan, for the sharing. I think we have a few comments in chat that I've been reading. It's pretty good. From Jennifer So, it says, in family, most siblings try to discharge their responsibilities to caregivers and expected all is taken care of. So I think a lot of our caregivers can also relate to this scenario, where they just have to shoulder the responsibilities of everything, and everything also they have to absorb the blame for it, regardless of what issue it is.
Yes, it's actually very true. Sometimes as caregivers, right, the caregiver role is not the role that the caregiver actually wants in the first place. So it's actually given or shown it by the siblings or other family members, to take care of the person. So that will become a chore, and then from a chore it becomes stressful.
So do you have any advice for caregivers or individuals who they know, let's say if I already know that I'm under a lot of stress, right? Are there any things that I can do on my own to sort of mitigate this stress?
Okay, there are ways, like, for instance, basically, if you can actually get a part-timer to help you out, number one. So basically, if you can get someone to help you, it's good. If you cannot get someone to help you, then I suppose the duty is yours. So when the duty is yours, then basically you need to take time off. Take time off. Get a short break for maybe 1 or 2 hours from there and get someone to help you with it. If not, then a good breathing exercise, taking a healthy diet, would help in a sense. Short term, like this, that's short term.
I think from Shalini, she posted, are there any support groups for caregivers?
Okay, I'm not so familiar with that at the moment, but I believe there is, because there should be a support group around for caregivers. If not, we're going to start one anyway. But I believe there is a Shalini. If not, then because this is a age-old challenge that they have. Yeah. If not, then we'll start one. Yeah. We start one group session, so whereby we allow a support group, yeah, to actually what we do is basically we can start off this whereby a group of maybe 8 or 10 people, so caregivers that can come in, and then the caregivers can then share, you know, that what they're going through. Yeah.
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah. Any questions?
Han Ho says part-timers are not cheap. So I think the not cheap part is also another source of stress. Instead of mitigating the stress, you get even more stress by considering the part-timer.
Yeah,
But what about small things that we can do, small lifestyle things that we can include, Alan? Are there any lifestyle changes that we can make to help us better manage our stress?
Okay, I think basically lifestyle changes, which should be in my other slides as well, but I can bring it forward now because I already entered to that time. Basically, I think it's the diet that you have, yeah, and then basically you also need to have a routine, a special routine for yourself, so that you can actually tell yourself that, you know, if this hour comes, yeah, then I will do this. Yeah, so you don't have to be the caregiver need not be. Do not feel guilty that you do not do certain things by the time this time comes. For instance, yeah, if it's time for me to go home, I'll relieve myself of my duty. I should relieve myself of my duty. And if the person comes there, of course, you don't leave the patient there. You will then have to tell the person who's coming and will assist you after this is that please be on time. Yeah. So you need to have a routine. And then once you keep on have a routine that perhaps every half an hour, I'll take a sip. Yeah. A drink. So keep on to that routine to actually help you to take a break away from your stresses, because by just taking a sip of a drink, yeah, it will also help to alleviate some stress because it breaks you from the stress, that stressful moments for the time being. Yeah. Yes. Of course, diet, of course, exercise, and also have do routine. Get something routine to be done. Yes. So some of the routine that people does is exercise, movies, or trips, yeah, and also routine in the care center would then be basically at this hour I'm going to feed you your medication, then perhaps I'll clean you up, then I'll clean the floor, you know, clean the clothes, yeah, then cook for you, you know. So keep that routine. Keep that as a routine, yes. So that the patient will understand that will also be a routine, and then will not keep asking for support. Like say, can we drink it now? Get me this, yeah. Or maybe put the drinks nearby, you know, so you can actually move and support the patient much effectively. Yeah. Okay. So I'll move on, yeah, because I'm short of time. I've got quite a number of slides to go. Okay, so does this sound familiar? You know, he or she is my only priority. As caregiver, sometimes you ask yourself, you know, I said, hey, you know, he or she is my only priority, like, you know, I do not have time to take care of myself, you know, yeah. And then they need me 24/7. Yes, I feel guilty if I take time off. I'm all this person has. So I hear this very often from my client. I'm all this person has. Yeah. Okay, or have. Yeah. So basically, you know, sometimes when I see my clients, and my clients will tell me that, hey, you know, I have to do this. If I don't do this, then no one's going to attend to my patient or to my family. Yeah. So basically, I think as caregivers, you need to be mindful that you are not 100% in their world. Yeah, you do. Yeah. So there are other people in their world as well. So do not get yourself too involved and make yourself the center of attraction, basically, if that may sound rude, but yeah. So some of my clients will also say, patient only respond to me, that they don't respond to others better, or the patient only want me. Like some nurses will say, hey, this patient only wants me, you know, only I can bring medication to the person. So try not to feel that. Yes. So because this will actually tie down the caregiver, yeah, and it will give more load and burden to the caregiver when they are stressed, yeah, right? And sometimes you hear them say that, you know, I can only manage it if only, yeah. So the caregiver always put caregiver as a role of importance, but actually someone else can actually take over that role as well. Yeah, or share the burden with you. So allow someone else to share the burden with you, in other words. Yeah. Okay, so barrier to self-care. Yeah, sometimes we need to have what we call self-care. Yeah, and I would advocate self-care for all caregivers, because self-care is very important to you. Yeah, you need to have self-care so that you are not pulled in or sucked in to the issues that troubles them. Okay, now, so self-care is unique, yeah, to oneself. Yeah, so to take time off to get a good night's sleep, yeah, and to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So you have exercise maybe half an hour. Like for myself, I started a routine exercise of half an hour every 3 times a week. Yeah, just half an hour. Yeah, so take the routine. Yeah, and I just started that actually. Yeah, last week. Yeah, so basically maintain a healthy lifestyle. Yeah, okay, and then also make time for leisure, be it short, or it can even be photography, you know, whatever you like to do, gardening. If your passion is cooking, let's be it. If you need to travel, you like to travel, then travel short trips. If you can't go for long trips, because you need to give more attention to your caregiver, to your patient. Yes, yeah. Focus what you're able to provide. Yeah, yes, and not to think that you want to do big chunk of itineraries or achievements. Yeah, just break into small sizes. Yeah. Manage and accept your emotions. Now basically this is a bit hard. Yeah, accept your emotions. It's okay to feel tired, it's okay to feel angry, it's okay to feel whatever feelings you have is okay, but manage it. How you manage it basically could be a deep breath, basically. It could be a walk away. Yeah, it could be doing something else. Yeah, maybe take time off to sleep, maybe go for a jog. Yeah, so manage your emotions. There are many ways of managing your emotions. Some people say that you basically do self-hypnosis as one of them. Yeah, so there are many ways of it. Yes, and most important than not is to be able to seek help. Yeah, be okay to seek help, not to worry about seeking help. Yes, seeking help is fine. Asking for help, like for ourselves as counselors, sometimes I won't say sometimes, most often than not, I'll also bug my counseling friends. Yeah, I'll give them a call. Hey, I've got this issue. Can you help me? You know, and I'll just then disturb them. So it's okay to seek help. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong in seeking help. Don't be ashamed of it. Yeah, and whatever you do, yeah, celebrate every victory. If today you manage to feed certain medications which the patient doesn't want to, it is already a success. Do not put it to. Do not say that, yeah, you know, this is just a flash of a pen and I got it. Yeah, but if you manage to feed the patients with medication today and it's already a success, yeah, tell yourself and give yourself a pat. Yeah, say, take time off to connect with friends, family, friends. Sometimes you may not be so close to your family. You may feel that you're closer to your friends. So make time to connect. So when you connect, perhaps like what Shalini just mentioned, support group is very important. Yeah, so connect with friends, connect with support groups. Yes. So if there's no support group, we will start one support group. Yes. Right. Okay. Now that is basically unique to the caregiver. This is basically for self-care, beyond self-care. So which means that beyond is external. Yeah. So you can say bye-bye to guilt. Yeah. Say bye-bye to your guilt. Do not be guilty. Yeah. Cut away guilt. Yeah. Get away respite, like what I mentioned earlier, is getting someone to help you. Of course, I understand that it's going to be pricey, basically, because part-time nurses, I think they're going for $80 an hour. I can't remember how much is it. Yeah, but I think it's quite pricey. Yes, you're right. Yeah. So getting a part-time respite or get a respite to help you to support you. Yeah, and prioritize what you'll be able to provide. Yeah. So do what you can. Yeah. What you can't beyond yourself, you don't do it. Do not touch it. Yes, right. Yeah. So maintain a routine. Yeah. Maintain a routine like what I mentioned earlier. You could actually maintain a routine so that at this time you are supposed to do this. You change the diapers. At this time you actually bathe the person. So maintain the routine. So the patient will also know that that is the routine you have got to go through. Yeah. Communicate to the patient if you can to understand. Communicate to the patient's family so that they understand. So that there will be not much of demand. Not so much of I would say not much of demand, but there will not be unnecessary demands or expectations out of you. Yeah, then of course join a support group, and your family support, no matter what, family is still important. Family support is important. They must understand if this is a caregiver for a family member, then most get family members, the other family members to understand and support you. Okay. Okay, so I've managed to cover left 5 minutes for question and answers. Yeah. So basically, the simple act is caring is actually heroic. Yeah. Although it may seem so simple. Yeah. That your act is just caring for someone, family member, but it is actually a lot of sacrifices that has actually been given and rendered. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Open to the floor. I'm keeping about 3 more minutes to 3 o'clock. Yes. Open to the floor. Yes.
If we feel stressed, right, and we feel like want to chew it up, right, what is the best way to take a breath, or like just like or just release out the stress?
Okay, very good question, Olivia. Basically, is this the fastest is actually take a deep breath, a few deep breath, and exhale, inhale and exhale, and that would elevate a lot of your stress out. Yeah. Other things that people may do is perhaps like in the house or their own personal gym, they may have a sing, equipment that can box and release themselves. Some people may want to just shout it out. Yeah, I know of people who just get distressed by singing, so they go to karaoke or they go to their own sing from their own karaoke at home. So different people have different ways of actually distressing. Yeah, but the easiest and the quickest is basically the deep breath. Yes, yeah. Taking deep breath and then maybe a drink will actually help. Yes, although I think I've shared in the past is whereby when I'm stressed when I was in the bank, yeah, what I'll do is I will just go out for a short movie, yeah, with my colleagues.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Actually, this is a very good topic, but there are many ways of distressing basically. Yeah. So it could be also through many ways. One of the ways is actually basically to speak to mental health professional, whether it's a counselor or clinical psychologist. Yeah. It doesn't warrant for you to see a psychiatrist yet, actually. Yeah. So I would mention that, yes. So yeah. So do take time to see speak to someone. Speak to your friend. If you don't need to speak to a counselor or psychologist, you actually speak to your friend. Yeah, speak to anyone that you are close with. Yeah, who can give you time. Yes, so that will actually help you to de-stress a lot. Yeah. So I'll just share my team. Yeah, my team. I'm supported by a team of clinical psychologists as well as psychiatrists. Yeah, and counselors. So coaching, as you can see, she's actually involved with children with learning disabilities, yeah, and also with adults for all mental health issues, yeah. And I have Maureen with me, who is actually involved in marital and family therapy, and I have a life coach who is very much involved with addiction. That's Laimu May. She has a very vast experience in addiction. Yes, right. So I've got also Dr. Linda with me, who is in organizational. Depression, suicidal ideation, and also stress management. Same with me, Linda and myself, we are in the same field, yeah. And of course, I also touch on LGBT as well as infectious disease and also long-term critical illnesses like cancer, kidney failures and so forth, yeah. Right. So that's my team. I've got another team as well who does counseling, but I'm not introducing today. Yes, yeah. That's all now. Yeah. It is a core team, yes. So if you have anything, you can actually, if you need someone to speak to, or a friend who needs someone to speak to, you can refer them to us. Yeah. Okay. So any other questions, Seth?
I think final call for any other questions from chat. If any participants have any questions now, you can ask. Otherwise, Alan, is it okay if they contact you personally for any of more sensitive questions?
Sure, yes, sure, yeah. They could, yeah, you can. Our numbers are listed there as well. Yes, yeah. Yes, you're right. Actually, caregivers are always stressed out. Yeah, it's true. It's a stress whereby caregivers don't express it out. It's always stuck it in, right? Keep it inside. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, sure.
if there's no more questions for today, thank you very much, Alan, for your sharing session. Thank you everyone who dropped by today. Thank you also to Alan who spent time here to give us this very useful webinar. I definitely learned a lot personally. If you have any other questions, you can approach Alan directly. We also have a free gift for those who have attended today. I will be posting the link in chat, and I also have a QR code up on the screen as well. If you'd like to attend more webinars like this, you can always follow us on our Facebook and Instagram. We always we have one every month at least for webinars. And I think if there's any future topics, we might get Ellen back in as a speaker as well. So do follow us on Facebook, Instagram. You can fill up the feedback form to get your free gift. And thank you everyone so much for coming today. Right. Thank you, Ellen, once again for
Thank you so
everything.
much. Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.